Just an invocation, please.
Our Lord, gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, for the good weather, Lord, that we have, Lord, the blessings of life that you give us each and every day. We ask you to forgive us of our sins. We ask that you be with this meeting, be with the leaders, and thank you for the people that's come out as concerned citizens, Lord. Help us to do your will, your purpose, your perfect will, Lord. Thank you for these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first item of old business is to approve the minutes of the July 9th regular Board of Commissioner meeting. Commissioners, please let me know when you're ready to move forward with a motion.
I've read the minutes, Chairman.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I second the motion. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Okay, public commentary. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. Come to the podium and tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm Joe Webb. I live in the south part of the county. I've been up here a number of times this year, and I don't think there's any reason or effect in a citizen actually coming forward. We get lectures, we get other things, but we actually don't get any business done. So at the first of the year, I asked about restriping roads. And we've been lectured a few times and told about the striping season that we'll get these things done. But as of right now, please be advised I've received your July 12, 2000 written open record request. And today on June 15th, July 15th, regarding the list of roads that are due striping, I have verified again, there is no written document pertaining to a list of county roads due striping. The county road striping is done on an as-needed basis. Folks, we eventually have to agree that all roads have to be striped at least every 50 years. So we need to get a management plan and a business plan together to actually do this. And again, we haven't done anything except ignore what is a public safety issue. There's no plan, once again. So again, if one of you gentlemen would manage the Public Works Department, all three of you are the department managers, or pass a motion, perhaps we can get something done on this. I mean, seriously, if we were directing a department manager, we should ask for this thing to have been completed a long time ago. We also have a problem right now in that we aren't doing audit adjustments. It's not on the agenda tonight to do any audit adjustments. We've just been written up by the auditors. We've gone through a lot of discussion in the last couple of meetings on this, that, and the other, $500,000 there. And again, why are we not adjusting the budget for 2019 for the first quarter at least, if not the second quarter? And again, this could be done either by a motion to compel it to be done, or simply by one of the three of y'all as department manager directing the chief financial officer to actually do this and to follow the law. These are simple matters. basically, it's sort of sad that we're putting a roof on a building next door and we didn't replace the gutters. I mean, there's clearly a drainage problem in the city of Blue Ridge. It goes right down this street, right down to the bottom, and it used to put 2 or 3 waters in the quilt shop down at the end of the road. And we're sitting there putting water into the street, and again, we bring these things up without a capital budget, without a plan. So again, there needs to be a motion to create a bid to gutter the fire station, to remediate the mold and the water damage, to basically bring the building doors to fire code, and bring the building up to code. I'm not even sure if we had a city inspector agree that we could do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to be next?
All right. My name's James Bond, and I'm a resident of Fannin County. I noticed when I was looking at my computer today that Miss Woody was going to be here with land development, and I decided that I wanted to come to the meeting. I go Madola Road home every time I go home. And there's a number of places there that have cars that haven't moved probably in 5 years. There's an abundance of trash in their yard. There's tarps over things, and the tarps are all torn up. And I'm sure that's not the only places in the county. I noticed you addressed the small home situation and how you was going to mandate that in the future. I think we need to try to clean up the county a little bit more. I noticed trash, you know, you're doing something about trash on the highways, and that's great. It's just that these yards, and I don't know what you can legally do to them. I know it says land management, and it's been insinuated to me that she does have some authority over that. So I'd like to see if we could get some of these places that people don't do necessary cleanup, just to clean it up. That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Who would like to be next? Yes, ma'am.
It's me again, Jan Eaton, and I do live here in Blue Ridge. I was up at this podium at the last meeting talking to you about an employee at Animal Control who worked a maximum of 106 minutes and got paid for 8 hours at time and a half. I'm back on that same employee today to ask and just to mention that this same employee is taking time on the clock to go to the doctor, the dentist, and he's driving the company truck. And so I put a little poll up on Facebook this afternoon just to say, hey, if you work, does your place of employment allow you to take your dental appointments and your doctor's appointments on company time? And if you have a company car, are you allowed to drive it on personal business? And it was overwhelmingly no. One person said yes because she didn't have a car. And that was the only yes we got. It wasn't an official poll. But my point is, this person last Tuesday went to Riverstone Medical Complex, drove his truck there, then was picked up by the manager of Animal Control, which is under all of your supervision, I should say. He comes by and picks him up, and they go somewhere, and then he brings him back, and then said employee goes into a doctor's appointment. Now today, same employee drove his truck to the dentist and was gone probably 45 to 50 minutes from the job. He had checked in at the job and then went to his dental appointment and then went right back to work, or back to the place of employment. Work might be using that word loosely. But you know, here's the thing, those volunteers are over there cleaning and feeding and walking those dogs. There's a reason Mr. Williams got so frustrated speaking with you, Mr. Helton, is because they watch this happen every day. And y'all got to do something about it. It's not fair, and I bet all the other employees in the county would certainly like to take their doctors and dental appointments on company time. Is that the way y'all do it? Do you allow that out of every department, and do they get to drive their county vehicles? Quickly, because I have so little time, I do trust that y'all will check on that. It's at the feet of each of you, because you were over that manager who obviously needs some help. We have dogs at Animal Control who have been there 12 days. They're going to be there a total of 16 days before they're picked up by their owner. The owner was aware they were there from day one. I was told today by the manager of Animal Control he will not be charged anything for all these dogs. There are 9 dogs, 7 puppies and 2 adults. So they're taking up quite a few runs, and he says they will not be charged anything. I have a vacation in the middle of August. I'm so excited that now I can board my dogs there for free, because that's what this guy did. And I hope everybody that hears this and the newspapers get this. Apparently, it's a free boarding facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to be next? Anyone? Anybody? Public commentary is closed. Okay, moving on to new business. And we have a number of variance requests tonight. The first one is from Philip and Elaine Payne. The address is out of 72 Spring Run Drive, and they want to build a shed 30 feet from the edge of Spring Run Drive. This is out South Aska Road. It's not a county road. Commissioners, got any thoughts on this variance request? Is there anyone here that opposes this request? I should have asked that first. Any thoughts on this one, Commissioner Patterson?
No, sir, I looked at it. I don't see any issues.
I have no issue.
Okay. Neither do I. Nice couple, moved here, built a new home, and we appreciate their attempt to start off right with the county. I'll ask for a motion that we approve this variance for Philip and Elaine Payne.
Make a motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Variance is approved. Item 4, a variance request from Gary, James, and Francis Lance. And this is over in the Blue Ridge Village. And the request is to leave the house at its current location, 37.5 feet from the center line. Not a county road. It's, of course, a very nice area developed. And it's the request that they have is consistent with what you see with other homes in that neighborhood. Any questions or thoughts? Anyone here that objects to that variance? Have any questions, concerns, anything on this, Commissioner Patterson?
I don't, Chairman. Small lots, like I said, and I think they're finishing up a very developed subdivision behind Engel Shopping Mall, and I don't see an issue with it as well.
Anything, Commissioner Johnson? Okay. I have no issues either, and I'll make a motion that we approve this variance to build a house 37.5 feet from the center line. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Variance is approved. Item 5, next variance request from Gary, James, and Francis Lance. And this is for lots 1, 2, and 3 to build houses within 35 feet of the center line. Again, small lots, not enough space to really back off from there, but I don't see an issue since it's consistent with what they have in the neighborhood. Anyone here opposing this variance request? Commissioner Patterson, any thoughts on this
I
one,
have
sir?
no issues.
I have none.
Okay, all right. I'll ask for a motion that we approve this variance from Gary, James, and Francis Lance. I'll ask for that motion.
Make the motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Variance approved. Item number 6, variance request from Richard and Wesley McNally. Is there anyone here that opposes that variance? Okay. Mr. Patterson, do you have any thoughts on this variance request, sir?
No, you know, we're right next to the lake. It's gonna be a small lot, but, I think it's workable.
Do you have any concerns or thoughts, Commissioner Johnson?
I have none.
Neither do I. I'll make a motion that we approve this variance for Richard and Wesley McNally. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Variance is approved. Item number 7, a variance request from Victor and Julianne Mullins. Anyone objecting to this variance request? This is out at the end of Vasca Road in a very nice subdivision. And it's to build a garage 35 feet from the center line. I've looked at this variance. I have no issues with it. Commissioner Patterson, any thoughts, concerns?
No, there's no issues.
I have none.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion that we approve this variance for Victor and Julianne Mullins.
Make a motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Okay, if anyone was here just for variances, that's all the variance requests we had tonight, which is quite a few. Moving on to item 8, and this is a request from the North Georgia Community Action to continue our Mountain Area Transportation System contract from July 1st of this year through June 30th of next year. It's a continuation of a service that's provided to the county, and primarily it's transportation for a lot of elderly and disabled citizens. And they do a fine job, and they do a lot of good things to help folks get around the county that otherwise would have a lot of problems. You gentlemen had the opportunity to look at this. Any questions at all, Commissioner Patterson?
I think it's a good service,
Okay.
really, really good for our older people.
We better keep funding it. You and I may need that in a few years.
That's what I was thinking.
I think you have a few years, Commissioner Johnson, before it's due. Any questions, sir, or any thoughts on the contract? It's just continuation of the same service that's being provided. And we sure appreciate those folks. If there's no further thoughts on that, I'll make a motion that we approve the MATS Mountain Area Transportation System contract for the next year. I'll make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? It's approved.
Contract details, invoices.
Item number 9, Larry Thomas, Fire Chief, please come forward, sir. How are you this evening, Chief?
I'm good, sir, and you?
You had a busy day today, haven't
A
you?
little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Started out early. Actually, I think I'll start with Russ for the first.
Okay.
As far as the hoses that we've got on some of our trucks, actually, all of our hoses are loaded. Well, we've got, all of our frontline trucks are loaded with hoses. And we, on an average, there's 1,200 feet on each bed and 400 feet in the cross lace, and then there's usually a jump line in front and then a few rolls in the back. But we set out trying to pressure test. I'm sorry, that catches that air, don't it? But we set out trying to pressure test that a couple, 3 weeks ago, and it was not saying anything and not knocking volunteers, but then again, the timing of trying to get this stuff done, and it usually takes about 6 people to work it, as far as the truck goes. And no, I spoke with you about it, and we had decided to go ahead and look at some, other ways of getting it done. And then the ways that we found was, we found one company that would do it for 22 cents a foot. Needless to say, in the end, we had 32,000 feet of hose after we got it done. So that's quite a few hoses that we've got stretched, across the county, and I'll say that like that. But each station has a number of hoses, but then again, the pressure testing itself goes into a, I guess you'd say, a process, and it takes a few hours to do one truck. And as far as the timing of it and all like that, we needed to get it done this year. And I usually try to keep a little bit in that one line item to where it would take care of unexpected things such as this. But I was here to see if we could go ahead and get this invoice approved.
You do this once a year,
Yes, sir.
and it's a professional group,
Mhm.
and no one can question the process of how it's tested, and it gives all your firefighters, volunteer, and folks that are involved a high level of confidence that the hoses that they're using, that we're not going to have something happen during an emergency that just creates an additional emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps out. The state does set forth, with the NFPA's, they have their standards, and we have to meet their standards. And this is one of their standards that we have to meet. So,
And this cost is about $7,000, $7,500?
7542.
7542, okay. All right. Any comments or thoughts, Commissioner Patterson?
No, we need to make sure that we can help our citizens be prepared.
That's right.
And it's a requirement of the state, right?
It is.
So I don't have any issues.
And actually, the good news part of it, the percentage of hoses that we lost out of that was minute.
Okay.
Very small, very small. A total of maybe 27 rolls. So, and out of 32,000 feet, that's 600 and some rolls of hose. But then again, this stuff, it gets dragged a lot, and, sooner or later, it's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. And if we test it every year, we have to test it at their standards, or it's 250 PSI, and it's gotta set their charge for at least 10 minutes before it passes the test.
So we haven't tested yet.
We have tested.
You have tested,
Yes, sir.
and how much did you find
There was 27 rolls that was bad.
was bad?
Yeah,
That's
3 of the
what we're
rolls
looking at.
was, and I don't know how those 3 rolls got by over the years, but
Right.
3 of them was actually out of date. So
How long do they usually last?
several years, I think they were looking at, we needed to get rid of 70 and later.
Okay, when you buy them, did you buy them as a bid, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
we do. In fact, there's several companies out there that sell the hoses. the company that we're buying hoses from now is NAFCO, which they've got the, I guess what you would call the better hose, the lighter hose, the hose that's gonna be dependable.
Right.
But we do, thoroughly research it before we purchase it, so.
Okay.
I don't have any further questions or comments. Anything, Commissioner Johnson?
You don't need to leak your hoses. See where it's an issue.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion, we move forward on paying this invoice. Do I hear a second?
Have a second.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
What else did you have, sir?
One more thing before I sit down. We're all getting excited. We're that close, that close to being completely done with the new building. And the way I've got it wrote up, I had to write down a few notes just to where I could stay on track. Finishing up on the living and training quarters at Station 1. The plumbing, on the plumbing side of it, all the plumbing is done inside, but the only thing they need to do is come in and set the sinks, the commodes, and the urinal, and then we'll be complete there. Blinds for the windows, this is some small stuff. The cabinets, they're about 95% complete right now. The ceilings are all finished, floors are all finished, and they're being waxed at this time, waxed and polished. So we're gonna get that good coat of wax and polish on them, and they should be as durable as we are, so.
You've already had a very large group that came in a new training room, and from what I understand, everything, all the equipment worked fine, and they were, you got rave reviews on that facility. I know some of those folks were kind of blown away by that, how nice that is over there, so.
We did, and there were several of them that come from afar, not far, but afar.
Yeah.
But hopefully be finishing up in a couple of weeks.
That's great news. Maybe by the next time we meet, you can tell us all that.
Yes, sir.
I think when the next time we have a commission meeting, we'll be close enough to maybe pinpoint a date and a time to have a grand opening for the public and let everyone come up there and walk through and see that, see what they paid for. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yes, sir, it has.
Any further thoughts or questions, commissioners, on this? Okay.
Now,
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening.
Thank you.
Go home and rest up.
Appreciate
Sir.
Okay. Item number 10, financial report, Ms. Gasaway.
Okay, this will be the financial report for the end of June. This is just a summary of the different departments. We should be about at 50% through half the year. You can see we have a few that are a little over. I'll leave it up just a few minutes for you to look at. I'm not, some of these are because of prepayments. I am getting with some of the department heads about some of the line item overages, just to see if that's gonna be, something that they just bought ahead of time. I mean, I know there's a few things that have to be purchased, and they use the budget up at the very beginning of the year, and then they don't use that line item anymore. But there was a few line items that was of concern a little bit, and I have gotten with them and seen where they're gonna be at for the rest of the year. This is just a graphical representation of those numbers, where you can see where you spend most of your dollars, tax dollars are spent. These are the ones that are the points of interest. Again, we're 50% into the budget. Recreation's over slightly. And sometimes that's just due to timing, but they have generated revenue as of the end of June, $157,659. Building maintenance are doing well on their budget. The public works are doing well on their budgets. I did do, this is a little different from last time. Since I broke out the public works, I had the fire EMS and EMA all in one line, so I just kind of separated those so you could see those a little bit more. And again, I have gotten with some of the department heads about some of the line item overages just to make sure that they're going to be in line later.
Robin, can you tell us a little more about the fire department, their overage?
Yeah. Again, some of this is prepayments. They did have a big lease payment that they paid for the whole year, and that's, you know, for the whole year. Again, there were some other line items that were a little bit over, but the majority of that 133 is a lease payment. That's for the whole year. And again, on the sheriff's office, he had an annual lease payment that's already been paid. And again, some of his line items, some of them were a little over. And again, I've gotten with the departments and asked them questions to check on those.
What about the jail?
I'm not specifically know what was over on that one. I don't remember right off the top of my head. I don't have my detail with me. But I believe that most of it was the food for the inmates and the medical on the inmates, if I'm just going off the top of my head. And right at this point, we're right at budget overall on a total. And these are your lost and lost collections. And we are doing very well on the collections on those. They keep going up, which is wonderful. And again, I keep an eye on that to make sure that they are still increasing, or you know what's happening in the market and everything, to see how they're doing.
And the SPLOST is running about 10% ahead of the same time last year.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, like last year at this time, it was 2.5, and currently this year it's 2.8 for the SPLOST. Then I put for questions. The commissioners. If the commissioners want any details on any departments, just let me know, and I can talk to you over the phone in my office, or I can email them.
I don't have any more questions that post commissioners made up.
I'm okay.
The biggest overage I see is the risk management. Halfway through the year, we're 37% past where we should be, or where we're budgeted. What are we looking at as far as curtailing that? I mean, we're already way over what we budgeted.
Actually, there's nothing we can possibly do other than what we have done we installed some new programs to help hopefully keep the employees healthier. But as far as claims go, that's just when they go to the doctor. And, you know, there's nothing that we can do other than install different things on the health insurance.
So the things that were implemented, it doesn't look like they're helping a whole lot yet.
Well, they just started July 1st, so there's not much.
So have you got any numbers of how many spouses came off the policy and how much that wound up saving us? Because I know when we went over it, it wasn't, no one knew how much it could possibly save us. I was wondering if we got any closer to a projection on that yet.
Yeah, I asked the insurance people, and they're looking at a number anywhere between $200,000, $300,000. But again, it just depends on claims. I mean, if you have somebody go 1 year and had a major operation, the next year they may not. So there's no way of predicting, exact numbers. Like this year, all those spouses could be completely and totally healthy. We don't, we won't know that.
So what do we have in place to cover this huge overage? I guess that would be my question for you. I think it's something we probably need to start talking about since July.
Well, we have fund balance that can take care of, the cash issue. But in future, we need to look at, we would have to always look at by changing the insurance changing the insurance program, or, I can look at the revenue numbers and see if they're coming in higher. Of course, that would offset it if they're coming in higher than what I predicted. Things like that.
But when we have overages, Mr. Johnson said we get that out of general fund?
Yes.
Did we have to get money out of the general fund last year for this as well?
Yes,
Was
we
it
did a
overage?
little bit, yes.
I have no further questions. Is there some way, Commissioner Johnson, that you would like for us to explore?
I just think at this point, we're 37% over where we should be. I think we need to start coming up with a solution.
Well, now you know that certain people that have went over a certain amount, the reinsurance pays us back. We haven't got some of that money back, but they will eventually, if it's the same people, will give us money back for these claims. And we have what's called a stopgap that we pay out before we get the money back.
Right. So do we have that figure?
I do not. There was, I want to say 200,000 that I'm waiting on right now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just to be completely honest, I mean, I'm very concerned about this number. It's going way below the number from last year out of the water. Would you agree with
Well,
that?
it's actually less than it was last year. Last year, our claims were almost 4 million. This year, but like I said, it just depends on the health of the employees, and, we will get all the reinsurance money back eventually on some of these employees, but it has to go over that stopgap before that kicks in. And then at the end of the year, you actually have a total maximum out of pocket that we get a check back if we've paid out more than that. So we do have insurance that's gonna stop it from going too high.
So what is that too high number?
I wanna think on the contract, it was 2.4 million. again, but I think that's what it was.
And you had to excuse me, I'm not used to dealing with numbers that can get out of control. I mean, I don't want anyone to think I'm just trying to be
Oh, no.
a hard nose on this, but I don't deal with numbers that I just kind of sit here and hope they don't, you know, it's like me hoping none of my guys at my company don't wreck today. I know what the cost could be if every one of them decided to hit each other.
But I can
You
get
know,
the
I know what the
contract
cost
and
would be.
highlight the numbers for you and send it to you, but it's we have a total, what's called a total stop, where they
Right.
pay everything 100% back, and then we have per individual employee a stop before they pay us back.
So essentially what you're saying is like, the cost was around maybe 2 million last year, but the most the county could expend is, what you're thinking at this point is 2.4.
I think that's what it was.
So that's a stopgap.
Yeah. So I mean, it can't go over, you know,
Right.
I just budget less than that, hoping that we won't have to spend that money.
This is the third year of being on a self-insured insurance plan, is that correct?
Yeah, we're starting on our third year.
Okay. And I guess the motivation to go to that in the first place was the anticipation that there would be savings, which hasn't happened. So I think what we've got to do going forward is look at whether it's worth to continue a self-insured program or go back to something that's more conventional. I guess if you have a conventional insurance program, they're gonna tell us what the cost is, so you allocate it that way. However, that cost, we don't know what that would be. We would have been extremely unattractive to anybody with the number of claims and the amount that we've had this last year. So I don't like it either. I mean, it's the biggest variable cost we've got in our whole budget, that we really are at the mercy of, you know, of the type of claims and what's happened. So I'm certainly amiable. I'm not hung up on this self-insured thing as the answer from now on. But I think we certainly, we're going to have to look at this much harder in the future and see if a conventional way is the way to go. And then really that just takes a company who reviews what we've spent, what our risk levels are, and give us a number.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you can go
that's
to
really
the
it.
fully insured ones and get a quote, you know, and see what they will do. I do know that some insurance, if you've got too many claims, just won't even quote for you.
Yeah.
They'll just say you're too much of a risk and we won't even quote it. I know that a couple of other counties that I talked to had 37% increases this year on health insurance.
Can we buy this amount down, the 2.4?
You can always change your, like you can, how you buy down is what I'm thinking you're talking about, is like you can raise deductibles. If you raise the employee's deductible, that will make your insurance go down. I'm trying to think of some other situations, like you can, the maximum out of pocket for an employee, if you raise that, that will, but it all affects the employee. Just about anything you do is gonna, like that, will affect an employee individually.
Right, but at some point, we're gonna have to be competitive with other benefit plans. I mean, I hate that we're even going into this insurance right anyway, but now that we're on the subject, eventually the county might have to absorb some of the, I mean, everything that happens with the insurance can't directly affect the employee because there's other plans out there that are, I guess the only other word I would know to say is more attractive to an employee. I just hate going over these things and not at least addressing the 37% overage. You know, when we see these other people are over as well, but it's just something that I think it's very important we need to address it. Because it's
We have kept the premiums and the deductibles the same for the employees the last 3 years. And, you know, we've struggled to try to do that, make it affordable for the employees and yet not break the county taxpayers too. So it's a huge problem. And I guess the answer to it is we just focus more attention on it going forward and see what options we have. But we've tried very hard to try to keep that down some of the changes we put in there were a hope for as we go forward to reduce some of these costs. But it takes a little while since we just started the new program July 1st, correct?
Right.
So,
This one.
you know, it's going to take a little while to see if that has an impact. But I understand your frustration, I am too.
But the only numbers I had to go off of is what we were spending back when we were more of a premium-based insured.
Fully insured.
And I can't remember those numbers. I mean, I'd like to get a copy of it and kind of compare then to now.
The only advantage of fully insured is you know exactly what your cost is gonna be.
Right. And with self-insured, we know it's gonna be more than what we expect.
Well, I've been budgeting less than what we expect, but we do have a maximum out of pocket.
Right. I have nothing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. O'Neill, come on down, sir. Thank you, Robin.
Just a quick update of what's been going on with us. We just finished up our 6 weeks of the summer day camp, and we appreciate the school system and the Board of Commissioners working together to make that possible. We had 140 kids at each session of those 6 weeks of camp. And the after-school program, we're already have a waiting list of people wanting in that. So that program continues to be successful. All the spring season stuff is over as far as athletics, and the fall season's registration and all that stuff is ongoing for that. But here today, I want to talk about SPLOST, the SPLOST projects that we've started, the restrooms at Fannin County Park, and the lights that we were doing, the safety lights on the gym. The lights are starting this week. That should be completed by the end of the week. The restrooms have been finished for a couple of weeks, so working with the rec board, we looked down the road at what we want to attack. So there's 2 things we'd like to do. We'd like to fix or begin to fix the drainage problems we have on our playing surfaces. If you've been there, you know the playing surfaces are lower than the walking paths and the parking lots, and it's continual fight to maintain a playing surface. So, and the other thing we want to do is build a set of restrooms at Horseshoe Bend. We've mentioned that before at Horseshoe Bend Park, and we will attack that. I think Ed and his guys, the county maintenance team, and some of my guys will do a lot of that construction ourselves. So probably have to bid out maybe the plumbing and wiring, but we think we can do the framing, the roof, and all of that stuff, which will save some money. So, but what I'm here tonight for is we would like to begin working on the drainage on the fields. And the first thing we need to do is get a topo survey of that. I've got a quote for that from Hayes James for $13,700. So if we can get that topo, we can take this on the engineering firms and help us with drainage of what needs to happen on these fields. And we'll probably start with we'll attack the worst fields first and work from that and do it in chunks. So
That's been one of your priorities, I know, at the meetings you had with the
yes,
rec board.
it is.
That was really one of the top priorities you had after the restrooms, that there was a need to address that.
And that's
So, okay.
And you said a work field, what work field are you talking about? That's the
we
first.
would start with the largest baseball/softball field there, which is Field 5. It has the worst drainage issues, and it is in the worst shape at this time. So we'd like to get a topo from softball, baseball complex, all the way through the soccer complex, and start from one side and kind of bite that thing a little at a time with some design work and help.
They're on the field a lot, I mean, pretty much all throughout the year. You got football that uses that as well. You got softball, baseball, soccer, and football, those 4 sports.
Yes.
And we've had a considerable amount of rain the last 24, 48 hours. if we were to go out there right now, what would we see?
Mud.
Field, mud.
Mud, yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do anything.
They wouldn't be able to practice or
Right.
play games today,
That's
or
correct.
maybe even tomorrow.
Right. And eventually the top mix and all the conditioner stuff you do to those fields it washes. I mean, the worst field will actually have trenches washed through it. And it's really, really tough to keep it, you know, safe for play
Right.
as much as dry for play.
Safety.
Yes.
And how many kids do you say that use that field annually?
You've got, I think we have, the baseball kids were about 275 in registration, and you have about 110, something like that, and softball girls that use that field, so you're talking about, you know,
You're not talking about even the football?
450, 500, no, that's just that, and then on the soccer side, you know,
Obviously.
and the soccer's grass, it needs some drainage issues, but, you know, it is grass, we just need to,
It's
fix
good,
those
it's a good
surfaces.
percentage of our children here.
Oh, yes.
They use those fields.
That's correct. And there's no topo ever been done on that, so, you know, there's no firms can help us with drainage until we have a topo for the park. And I think that's about 30-something acres, this topo encompasses, like 33.5 acres or something. So,
And Eddie, we've been talking about funding and money, budgeting and stuff, concerned with that. Where's this money gonna come from?
This would be SPOS funded. It's, I've talked to Robin and talked to Ms. Dawes, and it's, it
So
would
we-
come out of our SPOS.
so we
fund.
do have it.
That's correct. It's a SPOS project. The first portion would be the topo, and then we'll work from that.
Right.
And I think our SPOS budget currently has a little over 300, 301.
Yeah, you have about 300,000
Yeah, there's a
right
little
now.
over
That's
300,000
accounting,
last time I pulled.
each month more goes in.
Yes.
Don't let anybody know that. Too many of these contractors here, and you got all that money, they're gonna,
We need contractors.
you need to talk in code with them. so.
But anyway, that's what we would like to move forward with the topo on the playing surfaces of the park.
Well, you have to have that to move forward with any plan, so.
Correct.
It's the first step, know your elevations, to know how much fill, cut, there's gonna be no cut if you're below sea level. That's part of the problem up there, is everything is below its surroundings, so.
And that number that you looked at was 13,000?
700 even.
Just for safety reasons alone, I feel like we need to go, go through that and proceed forward with children.
Got any further thoughts on that, Commissioner? All right, I'll ask for a motion that we approve $13,700 for the rec department to do a topographical survey with Hayes James. Make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Okay, Eddie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
All right, item 12. Miss Woody, come on down. How are you doing today, Miss Woody?
I'm good, how are y'all?
Great.
On top, you should have got a copy of the residential building report for the permits. We are about 10 over from what we had last year at this time at the end of June. We're 20 over what we had for 2017 for the end of June.
You had, June was a big month.
It was, yes. second page is about the condemnation list.
And just a comment on that, Marie, is there's 15 locations in the county since 2017 where the properties have been demolished and removed and cleaned up. And I think that's tremendous. And we got 2 pending, and then we've got about 5 or 6 more that you're hot and on the trail about trying to clean up. So that's people may not see a lot of that when they drive around, but when you put it on a list and combine it for the whole county, that's a lot of stuff to clean up.
We've had 4 this year that's completely cleaned up and removed. And as you can see, listed under new, which does not mean they're new, we've already talked about them. But the explanations is out there under the actions of what's going on with them. And y'all can read those. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it.
Where do we stand on, without mentioning anything real specific names, but the location on South Ada that we've been working on for some time?
EPD is about to write them a notice of violation out there at South Ada Street. And it's not, they've not done that yet, but they're working on it.
Okay. And we're moving forward with condemnation on that property.
I'd have to defer to Lynn on that, I don't
What
know.
we're hoping to do is that once the EPD writes the notice, and if there is no compliance, then that would be an additional grounds that if we had to go that route, because then we can show the court they're not just defying our ordinance, they're defying state law too.
I hate to be heavy-handed on that, but it is just
But it's
a
just
horrendous
hard.
situation, particularly for people who live around that. I know the commissioners have had calls from people as I have, and,
Yes.
And it's something we just have to do something about. Not just do something, do the correct thing about, and do everything we can to clean that up. It's a horrendous mess. It's not gonna get better on its own, and the people that live around there deserve us to make the best effort to try to help them and clean that up.
I would have to agree with that. At some point, we're going to have to stop talking about it and start doing some action, because there's several of these places, well, I know for a fact, I've talked about for 2 years, that absolutely zero has happened except a bunch of air has been wasted. So, at some point, I would think if we're going to do something about it, I don't know if it would be illegal or what, but it just seems like we just keep kicking that can on down the road, and the messes, if not staying the same, but getting worse. So.
I agree.
I don't know what we do to finally get people to do things. Maybe it is being heavy-handed, I don't know, but at some point we have to stop talking about it and enforce some of these things. If not, everyone, I might start piling stuff up in front of my house. And you get to hear about them all the time. So,
About every day.
I think where we've had progress on that sheet is where someone is taking it serious, and many times it's a situation whether someone's deceased, property changes hands to heirs, they get tied up in the court, but typically most of those we've had cooperation. And the list that's the real frustrating ones of where we've not had cooperation. So I'm all in on that. People have property rights, and I have a high respect for that. But at some point in time, we just have to after we've exhausted every reasonable effort, I think we just have to move forward. And it does take a long time. That's very frustrating.
Ms. Woody, would you say most of these have had ample opportunity to do the right thing?
Yes, sir, we have given them 90 days on that list to take care of the problems. Most of them have, well, 4 of them have complied, but the other 4 or 5 at the bottom of the page, there's explanations at the end of what's going on out there. It's in either an heirs property, somebody's deceased in the nursing home, or
I see that.
that type of thing that's going on with those that particular condemnation list.
Right. And someone in a nursing home, we can take special steps there and,
Well, most times when they're in the nursing home, the Medicare or Medicaid one, and I may be saying the wrong M word, but most of the time, if they do not have anything else, they'll come back, Medicare, Medicaid will come back and take the property. So, I don't know where it stands as far as that's
Right,
concerned.
right. That's a special situation there.
It is a special situation, yes.
So in what situation can we prevent something from getting worse? More stuff being piled in? Because I might start
You're
collecting
talking-
tonight. Just act like, keep everybody out of it. Act like it's me. If I decide to start collecting old garbage cans and piling them all around my house, at what point can the county stop it from getting worse than what it already is?
Well, first of all, if you do that, I'll come and get you, but we'll first send you a letter. It'll give you 30 days to get it cleaned up. If you don't, we can write a citation, take it to magistrate court, for magistrate court to deal with it. Right now, there's a hullabaloo about the citations and what citations we can write a local ordinance on. So until that gets situated, we can't even write a citation today. It's a judicial thing. It's nothing to do with us, the county. It's something judicial. They're saying everybody has to write a citation on a certain form. That form does not comply to what our local ordinances say. So it's complicated, Earl, about that. But then the second thing I would do is write a citation, take it to magistrate court. Magistrate court lets you plead guilty or not guilty, then they set your court date, then we go to court. If you don't clean it up then, you can be fined. That's the procedure we have to follow.
But because of the judicial thing, we lost some of the teeth. We can't do that right now because it's.
Until we get the citation form worked out.
Right.
As of July 1st, there's a new citation form that went into effect statewide. And the law says citations will be issued on this form. But it says you have to be a certified post officer to use this citation form. So,
Well, what's a post officer?
a sworn peace officer
A
that has
trained-
arrest powers, which means that your sheriff's department or your police department or your Georgia State Patrol has to issue. They made no provision in the law for any county code enforcement officer or any code enforcement officer for any city anywhere in this state. So, like this past month, magistrate judges were at magistrate judges school, and they were told it doesn't matter who issues them as long as they issue this form. The week before, magistrate chief deputy clerks went to school and were told, has to be this form and no other form. This is being resolved or looked at on a statewide level. Because Marie, right now, she can go out and she can issue citations. Somebody's gonna come in and say, law says that Marie is not a post officer, post certified officer, and she can't use this form. The state patrol has said statewide, we have a stack of these old forms, we're not paying for new forms, we're gonna use old forms, and we don't know if those are gonna be enforceable or not. And it's not Marie, she'd go out and write them, we're just not sure what state's gonna enforce at this moment in time. But they promise they're gonna have it solved for us in short order. But the procedure will go back exactly to what she just told you. It's just we don't know how quickly that's gonna happen. But like we had one last week scheduled for court, but it was a question of which form and a few other things. That's being rescheduled. But we go 2 or 3 times a month. People pay a fine, they clean it up. They usually don't ever get to the point of you seeing these.
Right, but my concern is, just so everyone knows, is it was mentioned earlier. I mean, the Medola Road has several spots of just absolute, looks like bombs went off. Stuff everywhere, and I can name some other roads, Chestnut Gap, I mean, everywhere you go, there's several instances. And it's one of the biggest concerns that I get from people, why can't the county make those people clean that up? And, you know, it's, cause if this went into effect July 1st, correct?
The citation part, yes.
So, I guess I'd like to come to your office, call you and see which ones have been reported. I mean, because it's a sticky situation telling people how to treat their property, but when it affects the others, their neighbors have rights as well, you know, not to have to fight rats off or snakes or whatever. So, there's just a lot of places that are very, very trashy that, there has to be something in place, or when everyone figures out that no one's gonna enforce it, it's not gonna get better. So I think, as I said earlier, I think we just need to start enforcing some of these things, and people hearing that so-and-so had to pay a fine and they'll clean their garbage up. It has to be a lot cheaper to throw your garbage away and the citation, so. I just think if we start enforcing it, I don't know what's been enforced or not, I just know a lot of this garbage and junk has been there since I was young. It's not been something for this administration or your problem the whole time. Some of them have been a problem for a very long time, but I don't know what to do to enforce it if we can't make anyone clean anything up.
Start with a letter.
Well, it sounds like the best thing I can do is ask how many letters we've sent some of these other people that I'm speaking about. But I'm sure all of us could come up with a list of places that just aren't very wholesome. That's all I
I don't have anything further, Marie. Appreciate your efforts and appreciate the progress. It's slow, it's painful. And I know you're at a disadvantage in many ways, but we'll just keep on plugging ahead, and maybe we'll get somewhere a little faster, a little further. We'll just keep on pushing. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Marie. I appreciate all you do, and I know on your heart that we've got a littering issue as well. So they kind of intertwine there. We appreciate all you do, and we support you. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, do we need executive session?
I do not.
Anybody? Good. All right, then I'm going to ask for a motion for adjournment.
make it.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks, for coming. Next meeting.